Good. How are you, sir?
Play tonight, or?
Yeah. On Black Knight TV.
Oh, man, you're a man of many talents.
Yeah. They're scraping bottom.
Hey, I just had a conversation with my wife. She said, well, you know, Mark.
And Senior Night 2020. We look forward to an exciting match tonight at St. Genevieve Dragons. But first, we will take the opportunity to recognize and honor our 2020 Senior Wrestling Class.
Yeah, I will be. Start going live. I've been doing all the home rules, commentating.
Tonight, our first senior recognition is Smoke Branch.
We're introducing our seniors now, and Smokey Branch will be the first one. Smokey's had a good season. Coming in tonight, he was a conference champ a couple weeks ago. It's kind of hard to see in here with the lights off, but coming into tonight, I think he's got 28 wins on the season and has had a good season, and he's sitting well in district seedings. Actually, correct that. He is 30-12 and was a district state qualifier last year, so hopefully he can have a good finish to his senior year. We're introducing our seniors now, and Smokey Branch will be our first one. Smokey's had a good season.
Our next senior tonight is Kyle Crawford.
And our next senior will be Kyle Crawford. Has been wrestling with kids club since he was a young, very young. So a lot of background in wrestling, and has had a good career. Wrestled a little bit his freshman years at varsity, but is a 3-year varsity starter. He's 32-11 this year on the season, returning state qualifier from last year. in Duel. He's been in the program for 4 years and has hung in there and done a good job being part of the team, and is a very active kid at school and a good student. And it's been nice having him on as part of the program.
for 2 years, and then will attend a four-year college to major in the medical field. Benjamin Cabal. Our next senior is Rothman Harris.
Next senior is Rothman Harris. Rothman had a good junior season for the Knights last year. Unfortunately, he came up injured, broke his arm in the last game of the playoffs in football, and has been out tonight. Will be his first match. Yet to see whether he's going to wrestle. They have a
Is a member of the
open at
Scalable
220, so
Health
he
Occupations
can wrestle
Institute of
95.
America,
So I'm not sure if they're going to switch those two or not.
Student
But
Council,
so Rothman looking for his
FCCLA,
first match
Key
tonight,
Club,
or be
WISE,
next week, this weekend
Fellowship
at
of
District.
Christian Athletes,
His brother
World
Royce
Cafe, National
is
Honor
also a
Society,
senior. He's had
and
a
the
good season
football,
this year.
wrestling,
He's
and track teams.
right now, I think
He
he's
received academic all-state, football
he's
all-conference, all-region,
12 and
all-district,
10 on the season.
all-state, the Barrel
He's
Award
a
finalist,
great football
Dream
player. Also,
Team,
his first year
and
he's
Javelin
came out for
all-conference.
wrestling in the high
His
school
favorite
level
memory
and
is
has
standing
been
on the javelin
done very well.
in Austin.
We're
Rothman
gonna miss
plans
both
to
of those
attend a
boys. They're
four-year
very good
university play football and
students
earn a
and
degree
people.
in pre-med
And
with criminal
nice to have them
justice.
as part of the program.
Rothman Harris. Royce Harris is a member of Scholar Math Team, Health Occupations, Student of America, Student Council, FCCLA, Key Club, WISE, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, World Cafe, National Honor Society, Leadership Council, and the football, wrestling, and track teams. Royce received all conference in football, all district, all region, all state, Dream Team Player of the Year, and was conference champion in the 100-meter dash. His favorite memory is hanging out with Rossman in Austin and watching Austin sign to college for wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, Royce and Rothman Harris. Royce also plans to attend a four-year college playing football to earn a degree in criminal justice and secondary education. Our next senior tonight, Colby Benson.
Next senior tonight is Colby Benson. Colby is a 3-year starter for the Knights. He's 21 and 17 on the season. Having a good season. Looking to finish strong here in the season, at the end of the
Colby plans
season.
to attend Mineral Area College after graduation. Colby Benson. Our final senior tonight is Austin Wadlow.
Wadlow will be our final senior tonight. Austin obviously has a great wrestling background. Was a state qualifier as a sophomore. As a freshman. Was injured his sophomore year, and last year as a junior was a state champion. Austin is 25 and 3 on the season this year. Was a conference champion, and looking to finish off his season as a state champion again. He also signed with Gardner Webb, which is a Division I wrestling program, to continue his academic and wrestling career.
Austin plans to attend Gardner Webb University to pursue a bachelor's in nursing and continue his wrestling career. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2020 seniors.
All right, now that senior night introductions are over, we'll get ready to kick off with some wrestling. I assume they're going to start at 106 tonight. It's always a exciting duel between St. John and Farmington. Have always been rivals. Been times that we've both been competing for a state title, and it's always been a good competition. We're going through introductions tonight. At 106, Schnur will be receiving a forfeit. At 113, Dayton Boyd will be wrestling Gavin Gross. Gavin Gross and Dayton have a little history. They've been wrestling each other quite a few years. They've been had some not always good blood and always some heated matches. So that'll be an exciting one to start the duel off at after the forfeit to Schnur. At 120 pounds, you have Austin Wadlow will be wrestling Alex Nicholson, who's a freshman. The normal starter at 120 is Dalton McNeil, who was a returning state placer also. And Austin beat him at the conference tournament. They'll be bumping him up tonight to wrestle Kyle instead of Austin. And they're putting an insert of a freshman in the lineup. So hopefully we can get a big night from Austin and score a fall there. Next senior in the lineup of the next weight class is 126. And be Kyle Crawford, if I said was a senior. He'll be wrestling Dalton McNeil, who's a returning placer. Should be a good match. At 132, Blake Cook, a sophomore. He's wrestling Nathan Selby, who's also a state qualifier from St. Genevieve. Another good matchup to get this duel going. Should be exciting. They wrestled at conference, and I think Selby beat Blake. I'll have to look that up and make sure. At 138, we have Drew Felker from Farmington with a 28-14 record. Sophomore wrestling Jake Dickens, who's also a sophomore with a 28-3 record and finished 6th last year at the state tournament. At 145 pounds, we have Smokey Branch from Farmington, another senior with a 30-12 record. We're wrestling another senior from St. John, Gage Wiegert, with an 18-17 record. At 152, we have Colby Vincent with a 21-17 record, wrestling Kalen Miracle, the junior, with a 19-22 record. At 160, Farmington will bring out Luke Houston, who's a freshman with a 12-17 record. Will wrestle Brett Beezer, a senior from St. Genevieve, with a 17-19 record. At 170, Farmington will put out Cale Kraus, a junior with a 27-12 record. It was a returning state qualifier from last year. They wrestle Elijah Holyfield, which is also a junior with a 12-17 record. At 182, Farmington will put out Judd Cunningham, a junior returning state qualifier. Has a 31-8 record, having a great season, and will wrestle Dale Probst or Will Vaughn. Looks like he'll put out Will Vaughn, as they just announced. So Will Vaughn with a 13-24 record is also a senior.
At 195 pounds from St. Genevieve, Dale Probst.
At 195 pounds, Farmington will put out Royce Harris as a senior. It's a 12-10 record, and wrestled Dale Probst as a junior with a 24-18 record. At 220, Rothman Harris was going to get his first match of the night, but it looks like he'll get a forfeit. They don't have a 220-pounder, so we'll have to wait for the first night of districts to get his first match. And then heavyweight, Farmington will put out Clayton Barber, a junior, with an 18-24 record. Wrestled Ryan Schmelzley, a senior, with a 26-17 record. Those are the matchups. Like I said earlier, this has been a heated rivalry. We've had some great duels down in the past between Farmington and St. Gen, and hopefully we'll have some great matchups tonight.
Assistants Cody Compton, Ryan Wadlow, Kyle Vaness, Todd Brackett, and Jesse Francis. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of our national anthem by Miss Stephanie Cabrera and the presentation of colors by the Air Force Junior ROTC Color Guard. Commanding tonight's performance is Cadet First Lieutenant Joshua Barnhouse, along with cadets Madison Childs, Oleana Long, and Emma Smith.
National anthem was sung by Miss Stephanie Cabrera. Did a great job, as she always does. Get us ready to go. He said at 106 we're going to start with a forfeit to Nate Schnurr, and then we'll get it started with Dayton Boyd. out the smoke machine tonight. And a little more atmosphere going on and the mat light going on. Pretty exciting for the Knights. Hopefully they enjoy themselves and relax and have a good night. So Nate will pick up a forfeit for a 6-0 lead for the Knights here. I guess they were a little premature. They're going to flip the disc. They'll send out all their seniors tonight, flip the disc and pick their choice of odd or even matches. What they're flipping for, they'll go through, obviously the official will go through procedures and what he expects of the teams, and then they'll flip. Whoever wins the toss will get a choice of their choice at the beginning of the second period. All the even matches or all the odd matches. So if your team has a lot of close matches that they're looking for, you want to try to get your choice in those matches. So if you have a 113 is one of your tougher matches of the night, you'd like to have your choice first, and that so you can choose position and you have a little more control of the way the match is going to go. So Farmington won the toss, it looks like. Not sure what they chose. But we'll find out here in a little bit when they're going to have their choice, if the first match or the second match. So again, if they win the toss and they choose to be odd, then they get the choice in all the odd matches, 106, 120, etc. So the first actual match of the night is Dayton Boyd and Gavin Gross. Dayton is his qualifier last year. Gross is a qualifier also. They've been wrestling each other for years in Kids Club and went back and forth. Unfortunately, the last match at conference, Dayton lost to Gavin in a 4-0 decision. So good match, but came out on the wrong side. Hopefully tonight we can turn that around. And there goes the whistle. And action started, no contact, there's a little motion. Dayton does best when he can get his hands on and get to somebody out of position, so hopefully he'll do that with Gavin. Gavin's a pretty good defensive wrestler and was able to counter pretty well. Like to see guys get your hands on people and move them to take them out of position. Higher the level of wrestling, more you need to get your hands on people and be able to move them. You're not going to be able to take them out of position just by taking a straight-on shot. There, Dayton digs in an underhook and goes straight in. He needs to stay with that underhook and extend now. Gavin takes a shot, and Dayton does a pretty good job of stopping it, but he's letting him bring his head up. He's got to keep his head down. Gavin gets it up. Dayton's got a front headlock and a wrist. So he's good right now, but he's got a scoot. He sits him on his butt. Now he's reaching across looking for a spladle. He's got a good opportunity to get a spladle here, and he does. He gets him all the way through, but now he hips all the way to the wrong side. Now he's got the spladle, and he's getting a count. He's got the takedown. He's getting near fall. Doesn't get any near fall, but he does get the takedown. That is a pretty good job. He was a little high, wasn't able to hold him for a near fall count, but it was a big takedown to be able to defend the shot. He originally stopped the shot well and then drove his hips in and gave a little too much pressure. Gavin was able to bring it up, but Dayton did a good job of defending it. Now Dayton's got a bar and he's running it, able to get a count. Looks like he's getting a count here. Not yet. He's got to break 45. He's not quite there yet. He doesn't get a count. Man, it looked like he got close, but they're asking for it, but he's not getting any count. Did a good job. I like to see the aggression of Dayton. Sometimes he holds back and waits, and he's been pretty aggressive tonight, and does a good job of putting the pressure on the bottom guy, getting something locked up and running and going and getting it. So Dayton chooses, so we must have our choice in the even matches. Dayton chooses down to start. Does a good job of moving on the whistle, but Gavin follows. Right here, he's got to get his hips away and try to make some space so he can escape. Gavin's got a deep, tight waist. Dayton does a good job there of sitting away and loosening up that tight waist. Gavin comes back, tightens it back up again. Dayton's done a good job of the start, and then he'll wait, and Gavin's able to cover, so he needs to put two together. There he sits out, looks for a switch. He's not able to get it. Gavin's doing a pretty good job of keeping pressure and keeping control of the hips. On top of your objective is to try to control the guy's hips, break him down to the mat, and look for a turn. He hasn't been able to break Dayton down, but he's doing a pretty good job of controlling the hips and staying on top. Dayton gets to his feet, looks for a standing switch, gets the leg, but now he's turned back in and he got the leg. Gavin's draped over the top and grabbing an ankle, but no change yet. You don't want to push back into him. He wants to square back up, but looks like he's going to try to step back over. Gavin's going to try to power half from that position and hold. It's not in a great position because he's out front and his shoulder's underneath Gavin's leg. Dayton needs to settle his hips back, make some space, and be able to dump that. But right now they're in a position that doesn't look like anybody's able to score. Now Dayton's got a little space. He's about to pop his head. He needs to circle out front and be able to. Now he's stepping over the top, and he's going to. Could be a stalemate here for long if nothing else happens. Gavin's doing a good job of hanging on. He's not in good position, but he's doing a good job of getting that far. Half Nelson in and just holding on and got the leg hook, eating up time. It looks like he's going to be able to finish the period on top. So we'll go in the third period, 2-0 with no change. He gets the ride out into the second period. Dayton does a pretty good job of working, but ends up not getting out. So we'll go to third period, 2-0, and immediately Dayton is going to release him and give him an escape. So we're a 2-1 decision, or 2-1 score right now. You keep it up and keep pressure on and get another takedown here and build a little bit of a lead. Now Gavin gets to a front headlock, pulls it down to the mat. Dayton's got elbow control, which is good, but he needs to circle out of this and get back to his feet, not stay on his knees. He's got good control here. Gavin does a pretty good job of circling. Now he's close to scoring. He can depend on that shoulder. He's going to have to get out of there. It looks like he's given up a takedown, so it's down now 3-2. Gross. You get an escape here, tied up, or a reversal to take the lead. Got a stalemate. There's nothing happening. We ended up last period, we had about half the period in a position that was kind of a stalemate. It could have been stalemated, but we wasted a whole period. Hopefully we can get an escape here. We're down 3-2 with minute 13 left in the match. Does a good job of getting pressure away from that tight waist to loosen it up. Then Gross comes right back on top and tightens it back up again. He's got a good deep tight waist. Not really done anything to try to score, but he's done a pretty good job of riding. At some point, the official needs to be looking at not a lot of happening on top and maybe a stall call on top because there hasn't been any action, any attempt for a turn. Right back at it, and he just follows those hips, and he's done a good job of riding, but this is high school wrestling is not, there's no riding point, there's no benefit of riding except that you wear your guy out. A lot of times they'll call top guy for stalling if they've not done anything to attempt to turn. And in this situation, he hasn't really. Right now, he's just going to run him out of bounds. He ran him straight out of bounds. I'm not sure why that's not a fleeing the mat call. Dayton got to his feet, and he ran him out of bounds with no attempt to try to keep him in. Oh, we're back down in the middle with 19 seconds left in the match. No attempt to turn here. I get to his feet. He's got to be in a scramble situation here, and he's going to have to go to get this takedown. He does. He gets a reversal with no time on the clock to win the match. And the call is going to stay in. With no time, he gets a reversal to his back. No near fall because there's no time on the clock, but he gets the win with a 4-3 score. That was a situation where he didn't give up. He kept fighting. He wrestled all the way through a situation and didn't stop wrestling. A lot of guys will stop wrestling there because they know time's about out. He's been ridden for almost 2 periods, but he didn't. That's a big match for Dayton. Showed a lot of guts to wrestle through that and finish with a 5-4 win. Good start for the Knights. Next match will be Austin Wadlow, returning state champion, wrestling his last home duel against a freshman from St. Genevieve. Alex Nicholson is the freshman. He's 7-13. Austin's senior state champion for Farmington. For this to last too long, sometimes Austin will work on a few takedowns before he gets a fall. It looks like he's step right in and look for a turn, but he doesn't get it. But he does get a rear standing and return to the mat and get a 2-0 lead with 20 seconds in the match. Trying to force a turn there, and he pulled him right on top of himself. Sometimes you try to do a little too much, and he did there, and puts himself in a bad position. He does it again. One thing he doesn't want to do here is just overextend himself to get himself in trouble. He's done that. I know he's looking for a big night as a senior's last match, but he put himself in a bad position twice, gave up a couple scores, but he fights back and ends up putting his opponent on his back and getting the fall in 47 seconds with a minute 13 left in the first period. So another 6 for the Knights. They're up 15-0 after 3 matches. Next match will be Kyle Crawford, another senior state qualifier with a 32-11 record. He'll be wrestling Dalton McNeil. Dalton's normally a 120-pounder, but he's moved up tonight. Coach Bonnell is choosing to move Dalton up. Thinks he has a better chance of beating Kyle than he did of beating Austin. So we'll see how that works out for him. Hopefully Kyle can take care of business. And Kyle's definitely capable of taking care of business. So let's hope that Kyle finishes out his senior season with a nice win on his last duel. So it should be a good match. Now gets to his underhook, tries to control that underhook on his right side. Needs to get his head in position, takes a good high C, sits Dalton to his butt. Dalton does a good job of defending and locking in the crotch to be able to bring his hips back up and getting himself an anchor. Kyle sits him back to his hips. He's got him split, and he needs a step underneath that and should be able to score here, but Dalton is doing a good job of getting the corner. Kyle needs to bring it up, not give up this cradle, though. He's put himself in a position where he's letting Dalton lock the cradle. You don't want to give up a bad position to go to his back. And he does. Gets a takedown with the cradle. But Kyle's still fighting, but sitting on his butt looking for a reversal. Dalton's not in a great position with that cradle, so Kyle needs to get his leg back. Kyle's kind of in a bad position though also. So we'll get a restart. They went out of bounds. We'll get a restart to go back to the center. 2-0 St. Genevieve. Does a good job basing up. Gets to a tripod position. Needs to make space with his hips and get some space so he can get Dalton off of his hips. Right now Dalton's getting broke down flat and working on a wrist. He put it on his back and he's going to bar it up. Kyle needs to move his hips away. He does a good job sitting out and clears those hips. Now he's circling out. Got a chance to come out the back door. Tripod out, but Dalton's doing a good job filing. Kyle's got to the leg now and he's circling, looking for a reversal. He's got to get to the other ankle. And Dalton's re-switching and coming underneath the leg, and now he's going to look for a spladle. Kyle needs to not hold on too long. Turn. Holds on a little too long. Kyle's actually got Dalton on his back, and they come into a situation where Kyle scrambles, and he comes out on top, gets the reversal, and gets a 2-point near fall. I think coaches were wanting a fall call. In that situation, he was completely flat for a couple seconds. He very easily could have been a defensive fall in that situation, but they're not going to get that call now after he's already been by. But definitely deserves it. So right now he's got a 2-2 lead, or 2-2 match, and looks like there's not going to be any near fall. Not sure how that can happen, but right now all that's on the board is 2-2. Definitely would have thought there'd been some near fall at some point.
First period game is tied 2
So we're going to go into the second period, 2-2. Been in a couple of good scrambles. Both guys have come out on top in different scrambles to make the score 2-2. Kyle start on bottom. Dalton's done a good job of getting pressure out front. Kyle's got to get his hips underneath him, get his head up, try to get off the mat. Now he squares, he faces him. It looks like he's going to get a reversal. He does get rear standing reversal. Not sure if he's going to try to return him. No, he cuts him and turns him away. So it's 4-3. Gives him the escape and goes right back in on a low double and gets the takedown. So he's got a 6-3 lead. That was a good job of not giving up pressure and chasing right back into him. Dalton didn't look like he was ready for that takedown, for that shot, and Kyle goes and gets it and gets the takedown. And like I say, he's got a 6-3 lead. He runs a half, got a wrist. It looks like he's in good position. He's getting a near fall and it's pretty deep. He may get the fall here. He comes off his back but goes right back to it, and he gets a fall. Nice job, Kyle. Always nice when a coach moves his wrestler up to another weight class, thinking he's going to score more points, and get a senior step up and get a fall for his team and still get the win. So Farmington takes a 21-0 lead, a commanding lead to start this duel. Another good duel coming up, another good match coming up. You have Blake Cook, sophomore from Farmington, who's had a good season, had a good couple seasons. Blake's a real strong kid, very athletic kid. He's a sophomore with a 25-17 record, was a state qualifier last year, and now he's into the IDB wrestling. Nathan Selby is a junior. He's also a state qualifier with a 25-18 record. So another good matchup. Hopefully they are going to have another good match. Like I said earlier, he's very athletic, extremely strong for his weight class, and does a good job being able to fight through things a lot of people aren't able to fight through. He's a pretty tough kid too, so he scrambles well. He's had a good season, like I said. Nathan's another good wrestler for St. Genevieve, so this is going to be a good matchup. Not much happened so far. Blake does a good job of clubbing the head, bringing him down to his knees. He takes a straight-on shot. Nathan defends it pretty well. Nathan's got a good deep front headlock. Blake does a good job of defending that. They're right back to neutral, and they're separated. Blake comes back in with a heavy collar tie. Sometimes he needs to. He stays a little square. He needs to try to get angles. So he get his hands on him. When he gets that collar tie, he needs to turn the guy's head, try to create some type of angle so he can attack the hips and attack the legs a little easier. The straight-on shots are pretty tough to get unless the guy's not ready for it or is not able to defend because he's physically not strong enough. Blake's in on a good single leg there. He comes straight up, lifts it up, and then brings him down to the mat and hits pretty hard. There's no call on the mat, so thank goodness there's no slam there. Looked like Blake may have got his knee to the mat before Nathan hit the mat, which is a rule. You've got to return the guy to the mat before, or you've got to either hit your knee and return to the mat, and you have to control him on the way down to keep it from being a slam. But the referee didn't feel like that was anything that deserved an illegal call, so there was no call there. Just injury timeout. But Nathan looks like he's going to be okay. So we'll restart at center with Nathan on the mat and Blake on top with a 2-0 lead. Blake leaned forward and pushed, put a little too much pressure on Nathan. Gets a caution. You get 2 cautions before you get a penalized, so that's just a free one. They just readjust, restart. Nathan does a good job sitting out. Blake does a good job of following him. Now we're going to get a call. He picks him up, puts him on the mat again hard, and this time the official's going to call a slam. Nathan is right back up and okay, but this time he gets penalized. Blake's got to be careful when he hits the mat that he's got to return him to the mat without doing it forcefully. Um, that's, that's a judgment call, obviously, and that's a tough one to take there after the first one. But I think that's why the second one got called, is because that's the second time that he's hit the mat hard. But hopefully he'll control it. He's just wrestling hard, nothing dirty. Um, he's got a competitor, and he's going to wrestle through every situation hard. Nathan's doing a good job of staying in position, gets hand control, and ends up getting an escape with 8 seconds. Those escapes late in the period are tough to take. Blake steps in and gets a double leg, but it looks like he's going to run out of time on this one. So he does a good job there of getting in on a shot, but Nathan was able to pull him up and not give up a takedown. So at the end of the first period, we're going to be 2-2. And Blake is going to get his choice. He's going to choose the bottom position to start the second period. Does a good job of sitting his hips through, getting a knee slide into him and releasing pressure, but he doesn't have hand control. Nathan locks his hands and is able to control from a rear standing. He's having a hard time putting him back on the mat. Nathan Blake gets his hands broken, gets an escape for a 3-2 lead. Blake's got a hard collar tie and brings his head down with the club. Needs to create an angle and get back to a shot. He's had 2 good ones, got one of them, didn't get the second one, but it was a good shot. Nathan had to defend hard to stop it. Right now he's given up an underhook position, but Blake's got inside position with his head, so he's got it blocked out. He hits a dump, hits a IC with that arm, and ends up getting in deep and takes Nathan down. That's a good shot. Now he's on top with a 5-2 lead. He got the good leg ride going and got Nathan's hips turned. He got a lot of pressure on him. Doing a good job. He gets his hips broke down. He's close to getting a turn here. He's past the chin. He needs to get past that chin so he can open up his face and be able to turn his head. If he can turn his head, he can turn his shoulders. So now he jumps out, locks up a cradle. Nathan's doing a decent job of fighting those hands and not giving it up yet, but right now he gets the hands broke and comes up, and as they go out of bounds, he doesn't have a lock, so they're neutral again. He gets a 1-point escape. 34 seconds left in the match. Nathan takes a half shot. Blake stops it. Another half shot by Nathan, and Blake stops it. He's going to get his hands back on and control the ties. We got 5-3 with 19 seconds left in the match, or in the second period. I'm sorry. Blake does a good job there of being heavy on the head, and he tries to shoot through it, but again it was square, so he wasn't able to get it. Now he takes a long shot, almost gets to the leg. Nathan does a good job of defending, and then they both scramble back to square, and no score there late in the period. So we got 2 minutes left. I'll go to the third period. 2 minutes left in the match, and the score is 5-3 Blake. So Selby will get his choice in this period, and will choose down. Blake did a good job of leg riding early, and that's when he got the first takedown. I'd like to see him get back to that, but it looks like he's going to go neutral. Go ahead and give him the escape, and then look for another takedown. He's been deep a couple times. Just needs to get after it and keep creating an angle this time and a little better shot. His shots are hard, and he gets in deep. There he does a good job of just a straight snap down and go behind, and does a good job of moving his feet. And he gets it, gets the takedown to take a 7-4 lead. Now he's going to give him an escape again, make it a 7-5 lead, and right back in on a good double leg, gets in that low ankle, sits him on his butt, and quickly gets a takedown. Now he's got both legs, and he set him on his hip, so we have a 9-5 lead. He's feeling a little better now, and he's going to go back to his feet and do it again. Sometimes people don't understand why you do this, but it wears on a guy to be taken down 3-4 times, and Blake's wearing on Nathan right now. Nathan comes back in, gets a shot, but Blake does a good job at defending. He gets his hand, wrist. Wasn't exactly textbook, but he fights through it. Again, you never have to worry about Blake fighting hard. He does a good job and is a hard-nosed kid. We got a 9-6 score with 50 seconds left in the match. Blake needs to stay heavy on that head. He had a good snap down, go behind earlier. Nathan's doing a better job of keeping his head in the way. Blake pops the head and hits another outside single or straight on single really, and he just muscles through it. You can tell it's taking a little toll on Nathan. He almost got a turn here to end this match. Right now it's 11-6 with 24 seconds left. Nathan don't have much happening on bottom, so this is what happens when you take a little wind out of your sail by getting 4 or 5 takedowns and wear a guy out. Blake's able to put a leg in, keep a lot of hip pressure. If he can get a quick turn, we can get a major decision. He's got his shoulders broke, but he won't get that turn. So he finishes that period, or finishes the match with an 11-6 decision. But he made some separation late in that match. You could see a difference in conditioning and mentally how he just kept getting stronger, and Nathan kind of folded there late in the match. So that was a big match for Blake, and I think I saw a lot of good things. He's always aggressive and he's always fights hard, but that was good to see him get those takedowns late in the match and open the score up to give himself a cushion. So we'll go to another good matchup. We got good sophomore Drew Felker, who's had a great season again. He's a state qualifier as a freshman last year with a 28-14 record this year. Drew's a tough kid, works hard. Jake Dickens is a sophomore from St. Gen with a 28-3 record. Took 6th in the state tournament last year. This is a big match for Drew. Drew can handle it. Hopefully he will make some adjustments and be able to win this match, give himself a chance to win this match. Drew's another hard-nosed kid that wrestled for a long time at Kids Club, and very athletic, very tough kid, and he'll fight through any situation. He's never going to give up. And now they're just fighting for hand position. Both of them getting wrist 2-on-1s, and Drew looks for a long shot, tries to shoot through an underhook. Those are some of the things that Drew might do that he shouldn't do, is shoot through some position when a guy's not in position, or go straight on, but never from lack of effort. Drew tries to drag, and Jacob comes right back in with a double and sits Drew on his butt, but Drew scrambles out of it for no score, out of bounds, back to the center. With 1:06 left in the period, there's no score. A lot of action, but no score. Drew does a good job there with the heavy hands and snaps him down. And Jake just shoots straight on. Drew easily stops it. Has him front headlock, and then he puts in an underhook. Jake's just holding that elbow for elbow control. Now they're back to their feet in an over-under position. Drew's looking to peel that hand and fight that underhook up. He needs to fight head position now and try to get his head. You always want your head on the underhook side to try to get more control and make sure you create an angle. We talk about that a lot, is trying to create an angle with your ties. And he doesn't there. He just goes straight from his underhook straight on and puts himself in a little bit of a bad position. Fights back out of it. Jacob tries to come right through his head and step long and hook his ankle, which is not a good position either. But so they're back up to, Drew's able to defend, and they're right back up to their feet after being out of bounds. With 7 seconds left, Jake takes a quick straight-on shot, but no go for that, and Drew does a good job of defending. He was ready on the whistle, and you got to be ready on the whistle there so that you don't give up a silly one there. But he does a good job, and so we go to the second period with the 0-0 score. Drew has his choice. This is one of the times when it's really important to have that choice, because when it gets to overtime, it matters who scores the first point. So if Drew can score here from the bottom position, he has an advantage in overtime because he will have scored the first point. So that's where those the choice comes into play in some of those close matches. Right now Drew's tripoded up. Jake drops in on a single leg and then shoots through a double and breaks him back down. Chops the arm. He's got his hips broke down, and he's got a pretty good ride going right now, but he's doesn't look that close to scoring by any means, but he's he's got Drew in a position where it'll be tough for him to build up. I've seen this official hit anybody for stalling tonight. He let him ride the hips in the match with Dayton early and with no attempt to score on a top. We know we do that a lot more in Missouri now. Back 15, 20 years ago, you didn't ever see them get to be able to stay on top. If you weren't turning, you're gonna get hit for stalling. Now they do let them ride a lot longer and a little fewer stall calls, which I think is good. But to a point, they've got to be able to make the top guy work and not just sit on his hips. If they don't take any chances to try to score on top, bottom man, it makes it pretty tough on the bottom end to do anything or be able to get out. Right now, not much happening with 40 seconds left in the second period. He does a good job getting to his feet here, and he's right back in on a single leg. Repeatedly dropping to a leg when somebody stands up is also stalling. So we'll see if the official calls that. Drew's going to come right back and get another stand up, hopefully. Yeah, Drew's face is usually beat up. He's bleeding below the eye or above the eye right now. So as they go out of bounds, referee sees that there's some blood, so there'll be blood time. There'll be 5 minutes of blood time. Blood time just if you're actually bleeding. Until they stop the blood, they'll run the clock. As long as you don't go over 5 minutes of blood time, and there's no penalty. If you go over 5 minutes of blood time, then you're disqualified. None of that time counts as cleanup. Once the blood has stopped, the trainer stops the blood and will tell the official there's no, he's not bleeding. They'll stop the clock, and none of the cleanup time will count. Looks like he's got it stopped. Getting ready to go back to the center. And Drew will start with 31 seconds left in the second period in the down position. Needs to really get one here. So he puts himself in a good position, not only scoring the first point, but also take the lead in the match. And that way, if I'm sure that his opponent's going to take down, and if he gets an escape, tie it back up. So it puts him in a better position to in the match, obviously, if he can score here in the last 31 seconds. He's done a pretty good job getting to his feet and getting up. Jacobs dropped in on that leg twice. Does it again, drops on the leg, and again, that should be stalling. It's been 3 times that he's done that in the same period. Most of the time, officials are going to call that. Now he's got his hips broke down, and he's going to be able to ride out the period. Does get a stall call. A little late, but it's 10 seconds left in the period. He's got to jump up and try to get an escape here. Hopefully he can explode out of here and create something. We've got a caution on bottom guy. I'm sorry, yeah, it is on Drew, so gets a restart. And we got 7 seconds left. Drew's hips are down. Now he gets to his feet again. He can just he's got his hips away. That's the 4th time he drops to a leg and doesn't get away. So we're 0-0 going third period. We're going to go neutral, and we're going to cut it loose here and see if we can get a takedown to win this match. Going to have one eventually anyway, so you might as well cut him and go to work and give yourself 2 minutes to do it. Jake loses his headgear, so we stop the match. Minute 54 left in the third period. 1-0 lead for St. Genevieve. Drew's got to go to work on getting a takedown. He takes a long straight shot. Drew stops it easy and gets an underhook, brings him back up. Has good position, has head position. Needs to look to score out of this. Jacob's got the far arm kind of blocking that there. He tries to hit a little shot, but Jake does a good job of down blocking and is able to stop it quickly. Now Jacob's got a front headlock and pulls it down. They end up out of bounds with 1:28 left in the third period. He's got his hands on. He needs to use those hands to create an angle. Jacob does snap and brings Drew to his knees. He's right back to his feet. They're fighting wrists. Drew's looking for inside position to kind of lean in on each other. Got a minute 10 left. He takes a shot through, but he doesn't have inside position. Jacob does a good job of stopping it. Jake's going back into a front headlock, and he pulls it down, and they go out of bounds. With a minute and 1 left, there's still a 1-0 lead, Dickens. Who again takes another shot, and Jacob goes to a front headlock, just hanging on it. Now he does a good job of pulling it down. He's going to score a takedown. He's fighting up hard, and Jake just pulls that front headlock down to the mat and extends him. He ends up getting the takedown. So we're out of bounds with 37 seconds left with a 3-0 lead for Dickens. It's got to go. We've got a little sprint here. He's going to have to find a way to either get escaped and takedown, or he's going to have to get a takedown or a reversal to his back to be able to tie this up or take a lead. So right now he's been on bottom the whole second period. Dickens done a good job of every time he's got close, he's dropped to a leg and hasn't been able to get away. So we've got 20 seconds left. Dickens hasn't done anything on top except ride hips. He's still riding hips. Let the officials letting him do it. So right now Drew gets to a tripod position. Jacob just going to hang. Got 5 seconds left. No attempt to score. No attempt to better his position. Just hangs and finishes the match 3-0. So St. John will get on the board with a 3-0 decision. 3 points for St. John. 24-3 is now the score. It would be a close match. Drew does a good job. Unfortunately, gives up a takedown on a front headlock. Tough position. But we have a 24-3 lead going into a 145-pound match, which is Smoky Branch, senior with a 30-12 record. Returning state qualifier will wrestle Gage Wiegand, another senior with an 18-17 record from St. Genevieve. I'm not sure if these guys saw each other at conference or not. I don't remember them seeing each other. I can pull it up here. I will see if I can find any comments to see if they wrestled each other at all. Smokey was a conference champ, so if they did wrestle the conference, then Smokey would have had to beat him. But I don't see any. Actually, they did wrestle, and Smokey pinned him in 28 seconds. So hopefully he can continue that and build on that, get back to it, and get another pin for Smokey and finish out his senior night match with a pin. Gets a good double leg, lifts it up. He's controlling it to make sure he doesn't get a slam call, and sets him on the mat very gently to get a takedown. 2-0 for Smoky Branch. He cuts him right away, lets him back to his feet. Now he's chasing a 2-on-1, looking for position. He hits an outside single. He's low, but he's able to come up. No takedown yet. Now he gets the takedown. He's on top, and he tight waist and looks for a breakdown here. Like I said, they did wrestle at the conference tournament in the pool play, and Smokey won by a pin in 28 seconds. I believe that was the same guy. Yes, it was. Smokey's back to his feet, gives him another escape, so it's a 4-2 lead, and he'll look for another takedown before the end of the period with 48 seconds left. We got 4-2 lead for Smoky Branch. Smokey's being a little heavy on the head, needs to create an angle again. They're both fighting in for inside position. Smokey tries to shoot through, and doesn't have inside position, but then they come out of it, and he drops right in on a high C and is able to get a takedown. It takes a 6-2 lead. Has an arm barred. He's on the edge of the mat. We'll see if he can keep him on the mat and still be able to get a turn, but he's not. Arm slips through right on the edge of the mat, so he couldn't really go out front and try to get that like he would normally. So now he's looking for a near side cradle. He lifts it straight up and puts him on his back, but I guess the officials thought like he must have hit his knee out of bounds. If his feet stay in and he takes him out of bounds, as long as he's got 2 points of control or 2 points of support in bounds, they keep wrestling now, even though the back is out of bounds. But in the past, if the opponent was out of bounds on his back, there was no count. But now, as long as you have 2 points of support in bounds, they'll continue to wrestle, and which is much better for wrestling with fewer stops, fewer out of bounds, and much more scoring. So that was a good change. We'll go to the second period, and Smokey will have his choice. He'll choose down. Actually, I think St. Genevieve deferred, and then Smokey chose down because Drew had his choice in the second period, so it wouldn't have been Smokey's choice. Smokey reaches back between his legs, grabs an ankle, and pulls it up. Sits on his opponent, but doesn't get the reversal. He loses his grip, and Smokey scrambles away, comes right back on top, and gets a reversal. So now the score is 9-2, with minute 25 left in the second period. Smokey looks like he's going to work on top a little bit here and try to look for a turn. I'm sure he'd like to get a fall for his senior night. Wiegand is basing out, not giving much up. Might be better to cut him and go to his feet and look for another takedown. But with 58 seconds left, they're going to go out of bounds, look for a restart. Coach Krause is signaling to him. You need to tell him. Signaling to him, telling him he needs to cut him, go to his feet. He does. So he gives up an escape, but he now has so it's a 9-3 lead. Right back in on a shot and takes him down. So we now have an 11-3 lead going in last 30 seconds of the second period. We got 23 seconds left. Not a lot happening around the edge of the mat. Smokey's looking for a tilt. He's getting a count. He does get a 2 count. See if he doesn't lose it out of bounds. But he gets a 2 count and a 2 near fall with 10 seconds left in the period. Now they're out of bounds, but he does get a 2-point near fall. We're out of bounds with 10 seconds left. There's 13-3 lead for Smokey Branch. Smokey's going to get a caution on top. That'll be his second caution. Now we get a new start. Not going to be much happening with 5 seconds left in the match. Smokey's looking to stay on top and get to the third period. So after 2 periods, the score is 13-3. Smokey's going to, St. Genevieve's going to choose neutral position. Smokey takes a long shot from the start. Doesn't get it, but then follows it up with another extended shot, lifts him, and takes him straight down to his hips. A chance trying to control hips, but doesn't take him to his back. I got a 15-3 lead. So now the next turn, if he holds him for a 5 count, it's going to be a tech fall. But it is a 3-point near fall and an 18-3 win, which is a technical fall. If you win by 15, if you're winning by 15, it's a technical fall. Well, the team will get 5 points instead of 6 points for a fall. So now we're going to move into the 152-pound weight class. Dual score after 145 is 29-3 Farmington. Now we have Colby Benson, the senior, with a 21-17 record, wrestling Kalen Miracle, a junior, with a 19-22 record. A quick start. Kalen's right in on on his legs, attempts to take a shot. Colby does a good job of stopping it. Now he's in a front headlock, has his elbow a little deep. Needs to get that elbow out of there so he can circle behind or get that front headlock tight. Colby hops around, gets a takedown. Colby gets the first 2 points of the match. So it takes a 2-point lead with 1:30 left in the period. Colby's riding hips. Gets his opponent broke down flat, trying to get a wrist tied up. On top, we're looking always to control hips, try to find a wrist, something you can tie up to keep your opponent broken down, keep pressure on top so you can get an opening to be able to turn your opponent. So right now Colby's trying to keep him broke down and look for something to open him up to get that turn. Got the arm on the back, which is a tough position for the defensive wrestler to defend. He's turning away from it. He's able to defend it for now. Gets his wrist back. I was looking at track wrestling. I don't see any matchups between these two prior, so I'm not sure what their history is. But they haven't seen each other this year. Right now, Colby's got that wrist tied up. He's put it on his back again. His opponent builds up like he should and faces Colby. Colby does a good job of circling behind, catching the leg. They still haven't lost control. He's got a front headlock. And he's going to finish the period in control position. So it's going to be a 2-0 lead going into the second period. So Colby will choose down. Start the second period in a down position. He immediately tripods up. Miracle's doing a good job of tight waisting, keeping pressure forward. Colby's got to get his hips back, does it, and he sits out, turns into it. He's clear, but goes right back into a front headlock. So there's no change in position. Well, now Colby circles behind and gets a reversal. Miracle sits out. Colby came close to sucking him back to his back, but is not able to get any near fall out of it. He's got a wrist tied up again underneath him. Coach Krause is wanting him to cut him, go to his feet. And back to this philosophy of you're going to release him and get a couple more takedowns. You wear a guy out and kind of break their spirit, and hopefully going to make things easier on yourself to either get a turn from your feet straight to your back or get a turn once you've worn the guy down a little bit. So right now they're in a neutral position. Miracle takes another half-hearted shot straight in. Colby stops it easily. Now he circles around, gets himself out of position. Colby catches him on his side, but isn't able to take him to his back. So we got 30 seconds left in the second period. Colby's got a wrist tied up again. Now he's got to put on his back again. Miracle does a good job of turning his hips into it and doesn't give up the turn. Colby hasn't had much success turning on top, but needs to finish this last 18 seconds out on top to keep his 6-1 lead going to the third period. Got 8 seconds left. Miracle's come to his feet. Colby drops to a knee, in on an ankle. Going to finish the period on top with a 6-1 lead. So we're going to the third period.
6-1 going into the third period, where they will be starting in a neutral position.
St. John chooses neutral. Back to her feet. It's been pretty good for Colby. He's been able to get 3 takedowns. Actually, he's been 2 takedowns and a reversal. So they can get right back to it and get 2 more takedowns and get a major decision. If you have a lead at the end of the match of 8 points or more, your team will get 4 points, which is a major decision. So he needs to be working hard to get a couple takedowns to give his team a 4-point win instead of a 3. He's right back in on a outside single. Miracle's done a good job of whizzing. Colby needs to stay on that leg. He doesn't do exactly textbook, but he does tough through it and drives all the way through it and ends up sitting him on his hip and getting the takedown. It's 8-1 with a minute 12 left in the period. Looks like he's going to work on top a little bit here with a minute 4 left. One more takedown would be a major decision if he can finish out on top. So it looks like Yobi's going to, Coach Krause's signal to him to cut him again. Cuts him, goes back to the center to give himself a chance to score here in the middle of the mat. Got 45 seconds left in the match. It's 8-2. A takedown would make it 10-2 and give him a major decision. Caleb's pushing in on him, chasing him. Colby backs to the edge of the mat, snaps him down in circles. Needs to do that in the center of the mat to give himself a chance to score here. Caleb comes straight at him. Colby drops in on a double leg, tries to muscle it up, but not able to, changes off to a single leg. Caleb's doing a good job of sprawling. Colby staying on that leg though, he's not giving it up. At 13 seconds left, now he's turned the corner. Looks like he's turned the corner, he's gonna get a takedown. And sometimes it's just toughness. It wasn't great technique, but he just kept fighting through it. Ends up getting the takedown. With less than 10 seconds left, he gets the takedown to add another team point. So they get a 4-point decision and gives them a 33-3 lead in the team score. Next up, we have a freshman, Luke Houston, who stepped into the lineup this year, and he does a pretty good job with a limited amount of experience. He's 10-17 in a tough schedule. We wrestle a lot of good schools. We do a good job of getting our kids exposed to wrestle good competition. So he's done a good job of staying in there and improving during the season. They wrestle a senior from St. Genevieve, Beezer. Brett Beezer. Brett actually was at Farmington for a few years and moved to St. Genevieve. Wrestled a little bit here. Done a pretty good job for St. Gen. He did a growth spurt. I think he's grown about 4 inches. Right now he's in on a front headlock. Luke kind of reached for a shot and Brett pulled it down. Now he's circling to that leg. He gets to it. Luke's trying to extend to keep his head up so he doesn't get cradled, and he gives up a takedown. So it's a 2-point lead for Brett. Brett's got that wrist tied up. He's looking for a bar. Luke's trying to push his hips away. Does a good job. Does what he's supposed to do to keep him from barring that arm up, and does a pretty good job. Brett grabs that wrist and circles him back in. Breaks him down, and Luke does a good job on the edge and pushes his hips away, makes space. They go out of bounds. It's 55 seconds left in the first period with a 2-0 lead for Beezer. Does a good job controlling hips, gets a breakdown here and breaks Luke down flat. Again, got that bar close to getting that bar in. Luke's trying to fight his hips away and make a space there to get that bar out. Now Brett gets the far wrist, which makes it tough if he gets that far wrist. And Brett's working around the front, but Luke fights hard, does not give up the near fall, and gets his position back. And Brett's right back to the wrist and pulls his arm back to the back and bars it up again. He's doing a good job of fighting it once he's got that in, but he's got to do a better job of keeping him from getting it. Got it barred up again, and this time Brett's got that far wrist. Looks like he has had it pretty tight. Luke's stepped over and hooked the leg to make it a little tougher, but Brett's starts to get a count. He does get a 2 count, and he's going to get 2 points going into the third period, or into the second period for a 4-0 lead. He's done a good job once he's got him close to turning him. He's done a good job of fighting it and not giving up the turn until there at the end. He gave up one, but he's got to keep his wrists out and keep him from tying those wrists up to start with and make it a little easier on himself so he has a chance of getting away. They're going to start neutral. Luke uses neutral. They both have a collar tie. They're ear to ear. Need to make separation, give himself some space, try to create a opening for a shot. Another. Brett takes a long shot right in on a double leg. Luke pushes back into it, steps over and takes him straight to his back, and he's getting a near fall. That was just pure want to. Wasn't great technique, but he just drove straight into it, stepped right over it, and now has him in a tough position. He should get a fall here. He is going to get a fall here, it looks like. So going from a 4-0 lead, and Luke does a good job of stepping over and getting that takedown to his back. Brett does a good job of fighting out of it, and now it's a 5-4 lead. Now he's out in the front headlock and it looks like he's going to get a reversal and read to capture the lead to a 6-4 or 6-5 Beezer. Luke did a really good job of pushing right back into it and catching that as Brett gets set on his butt and got in a bad position. He needs to now try to get an escape here before the end of the period and tie this thing up, make it a 6-6 match going into the third period if he can get away. Brett's doing a pretty good job of keeping his hips broken down. Anytime he builds his hips, he drives right into it and takes him over his hands, keeping the pressure out front like he should. Looks needs to get his head up. Looks like they're out of bounds. He almost gets a turn there on the boundary. Good for Luke. They were on the boundary and were able to get out of bounds. So with 13 seconds left, Brett's got a 6-5 lead. Luke's down. If he can get an escape here and tie it up, we'll go into the third period tied up. Immediately jumps to his feet, and Brett does a good job of hanging and keeping pressure on those hips and controlling the hips, brings him right back down to the mat. Biggest issue he's got is keeping that wrist control, and Luke's giving up that wrist control, and it's hard to get away if your opponent's going to control your wrist or your arms. So Brett's going to choose neutral, and we're going 6-5 at third period. Takedown here for Luke would give him the lead. He's chasing, and he needs to keep his hands in front of him. As he stalks him, he needs to keep his hands low, stay in good position, and not reach. Sometimes when a guy's backing up, they're wanting you to reach and chase him, and when they do, he's going to drop in on a shot. And there he shoots a low single. Brett hits that low single and is able to come out the side and get a takedown. So we've got an 8-5 lead for Beezer. And right now he's just staying parallel, staying on top and keeping Luke's hips broken down. He steps outside, runs a half. No count yet. Now he's getting a count. It's pretty deep this time. And he gets a fall. Luke did some good stuff. Gave us an opportunity. Gave himself an opportunity by putting Brett on his back. Came close to getting a fall. Ends up coming up on the short end of this one. Loses by fall to Brett Beezer. That'll make the team score 33-9. That'll bring him into the 170 pound weight class. Farmington will send out Cale Krause, a junior, with 27-12 record, a state qualifier last year. He'll be wrestling Elijah Holyfield as a junior with a 12-17 record. Never wrestled each other before tonight. Cale finished higher than him at the conference tournament. Hopefully this will be a good match for Cale. He's be aggressive and comes right out with a pass by, one of his favorite things to do from his feet. Pressures in and he passes him right by. Now he ties up the far wrist. Once he gets this, he's pretty tough with it too. You know, he's reaching with the far hand. He's able to dig deep and get it. He got a near fall, jumps to the other side, catches that arm, hits his ear to his shoulder, gets a fall with 29 seconds into the match. having a little fun there. Gets the fall 29 seconds into the match. Judd Cunningham coming out through the smoke. Judd's a junior also with a record of 31-8. State qualifier last year, having a great season. He's ranked 5th in the state right now. Wrestling Will Vaughn, who's a senior with a 13-24 record. Judder's a very aggressive wrestler and very physical. I look for him to come out strong, come out hard. Quick fade to start the period, to start the match, and gets his hands on. Heads in on a single straight on, lifts and dumps and gets a quick takedown. He comes right to it and throws in a leg. Got that far rudder leg is kicking out the far ankle, helps him control it. Now he's got him sitting on his hip and he's trying to power half and pull it to him. Right here he keeps control with his legs, but he's looking to sink that half deep. Now he jumps out to the side. The opponent's pretty long and pretty wiry. Wasn't able to get that, but then he comes right to the side and sucks him back. I think that might come from Coach Wadlow, he works with all the time. And Coach Wadlow was the suck back king. Gets sucked back, puts him on his back, climbs on top and gets a fall with 51 seconds. With a minute 9 left in the first period, Judd gets a fall, puts Farmington up 45-9. Next up for the Knights is Royce Harris, a senior with a 12-10 record, wrestling Dale Probst, a junior with a 24-18 record. Royce Harris, again wrestling Dale Probst, junior. You can look at Royce and see how athletic he is. Royce is a great football player, had a great season his senior year and junior and senior year, and glad he came out for wrestling and has been exciting to watch. It drops right in on a single, straight on single. And chases it. Dale does a good job of sprawling and gets his hips back over the top, and now he sprawls and tries to cover up. Royce does a good job of circling to the outside, bringing that leg up, but unfortunately they were out of bounds. Does a good job of clubbing the head right back into a double leg and brings it up and is able to keep chasing it. Dale did a pretty good job of being able to defend for a little bit, but Royce just kept coming and gets a takedown. 28 seconds left in the period, or 28 seconds into the period. Royce is up 2-0. Royce is looking for that far wrist. Dale is able to get it away and get to his feet. Royce just lifts the leg and sets him right back to his back. Now Dale's able to turn back in and be able to get to his feet or escape, and it's a 2-1 lead for Royce. He's got those feet moving. He got feints going and gets Dale moving, but pulls him right into his foot. Gives up a low single and gives up that takedown. It's a 3-2 lead for St. Genevieve. Dale jumps right on top and gets a half. Royce is able to get to his feet. Dale pulls him back down to the mat. Official looks for a clasping call, but he broke his hands by the time he got there. Now Royce just needs to keep him out from under that near arm. He's got that deep half, makes it tough to get out. He needs to fight his inside arm back and fight position there so he can get that arm back and be able to square. And he does. He's able to square, gets an escape, and get to their feet. Royce tied it up 3-3. Just needs to not be over aggressive here. And last time he pulled him right into his foot. When he snaps him, he's got to take his feet away. There, Dale takes a half shot. He needs to hit that club and snap him to his face right there. Both have a collar tie, or Dale has a collar tie. Royce is trying to elbow off there as time runs out. So go to the second period. We got a 3-3 match. Royce is going to choose down.
Harris is tied with Dave Probst, 3-3. Royce will start in the down position.
Royce jumps up quickly, turns right in, and takes him straight to his back. He is extremely powerful, extremely quick. It's hard to defend. He just caught Dale off guard and turned right back into it, sat him on his hip, and it covered him, and there wasn't anything he could do after that. Very explosive. Nice job, Royce. Gives Farmington a 51-9 lead in this duel. We're going into 220. Royce Rothman Harris is there in the lineup for the first time of the season after breaking his arm during football season. So he's going to take a forfeit, unfortunately, tonight. Rothman Harris gets his first win of the season to give Farmington a 57-9 lead. And we'll finish the night out with heavyweights Clayton Barber, a junior with an 18-24 record, who wrestled Ryan Schmelsley, a senior with a 26-17 record. We got Clayton coming into the night as a junior. Made a lot of improvements in the last couple seasons, starting to mature as an athlete. You can see the things that he's doing much better, being able to defend things that he used to not be able to defend just because physically he wasn't able to compete with some of the bigger, stronger kids. Right now he comes out, gives up an underhook, and looks like he tries to hit a half head and arm, but Schmelsley ducks it. Ends up getting a rear standing. Clayton fights it for a little while, but ends up giving up a takedown. Now he comes right back to his feet, gets an escape. Now we got a 2-1 lead for Schmelsley. He's giving up that underhook again. He needs to get that elbow down and stay out of that. He does clamp it down this time and circles out of it and gets his underhook back. He's got an overtie. He needs to be heavy with those hands and use his hands to create angles. Right now, Schmelsley's got a wrist tied up and trying to climb that elbow. Clayton's done a good job of squaring up and collar tying. He's used that hand when he gets on the head. Club, take him out of position. There's a better job there, pressuring forward. He's got fake going. Needs to make him move his feet. Make the guy move his feet and react, and you can work off those reactions and figure out a way to create a score. He's got jacking that underhook up again. Clayton's looking to throw a head and arm, but Schmelsley brings it back, takes him back to his the edge of the mat, comes over the top and covers and gets a takedown. So with 5 seconds left, Clayton's almost out. He looks to get an escape, and he does with the second left to make it a 4-2. We come into play here late in the match to get another escape to cut this lead in half. Clayton will start down in the third period, trailing 2-4. Immediately tripods up. Tries to break hands. He does. He turns and faces. Schmelsley comes into a single leg, and Clayton covers, pulls it down, but then Schmelsley's able to circle back out of it and get to his feet. Now gets the escape, so it's 4-3. This is where he gets in trouble, is giving up this underhook. He needs to make sure he clamps down on that underhook. He did a better job that time and gets his underhook out. Schmelsley gets that underhook, jacks it up, and chases it, and puts him in a bad position. And twice he's bailed with a head and arm, and it wasn't there. So he needs to stay out of that underhook. He does get it. He needs to clamp it down and be able to circle away from it. Schmelsley's chasing it again, and Clayton does a good job of of circling away from it and coming over the top. It needs to get to his ties. Gets in on a shot. It's a long shot. Smells is able to stop it, and he's got him extended. He's going to be able to circle around and score. Like the aggression, but he needs to set that shot up and create an angle and not go straight at it. It's pretty tough to get underneath somebody at 250 pounds and be able to lift. And he's gotten stronger. He's not to the point where 250 pounds straight on is going to be easy for him to handle. He needs to keep his head, keep that inside blocked out. Smells is trying to run a half. He's not able to yet. Clayton's done a pretty good job now. He's got it deep though. Clayton's on his back, gives up the fall. Unfortunately finished the night with a pen, but St. John gets a fall to finish the night. It's 51 to, I said we started the match at 106. I guess we're finishing the match at 106, so Nate's got to go out and get his forfeit. And the score's going to finish the match at 57 to 15 to finish this duel. So a good night for the Knights. It's a good senior night, exciting night with the atmosphere here. Kids sitting right on next to the match. It's exciting. Good crowd. St. John's always a good opponent. As much as I like Coach Bonnell, I always like to beat St. John. So it's always a sweet night when you can win. And Farmington comes out on top again this year and keeps its streak against St. John going. So another good senior night here. Again, 57 to 15 for the Knights. Farmington will be back in action on Friday night here at 5 o'clock, I believe. It may be 6 o'clock. Watch Black Knight TV. I'm sure they'll be tweeting and they'll be putting information out on the official start time. It's either 5 or 6 o'clock on Friday night. Come out and watch the Knights compete to earn a trip to the state tournament and win another district title. Farmington was a district champ last year, and hopefully they're going to repeat as district champions again this year. So we're looking for big things this weekend. Come out and support your Knights.